Alright folks, this video is going to install I3-12100f into this Gigabyte B760m DS3H DDR4 motherboard. Now, I think I've done the i3 in here, but we didn't do really all of the steps that one might do to get this computer up and running. Just did the basic CPU installation. So we got a power supply over here, and we're going to get this thing up and running. I actually sold this motherboard off, so this will be the last video. And we just want to make sure everything's working good. I did a BIOS update video using the flashback button. Made a couple mistakes in that video, but we'll edit it out and make it look like hopefully it was seamless and perfect, right? Alright, so there's our CPU. Note the little triangle here. Line it up with the little triangle on the plastic gizmo, which you may or may not be able to see, but it's right there. We move in. See that triangle, folks? Center of the screen, right? That's what I'm lining up with. Okay, so I can drop this in here gently, and hopefully I line it up good. Now I always double check all the way around. If it feels the same on each side, it's in there good, right? Now we're going to drop this down. Sometimes these pop off, sometimes they don't. That barely did. Set that aside. Then I always check once again, seated good. Drop that down, hold, put a finger here, and then let's see if we can get this where you guys can actually see the lever coming down. And drop it in and around on that, right? Now, we're going to use the stock cooler in this video. And this has a round bottom, so I'm actually going to do a big old blob on it. And hopefully that'll spread. Now these CPU coolers, they don't really compress that good, in my opinion. Down on the that copper piece, we need to clean that up a little bit. It does not really compress that well onto the CPU, guaranteeing a nice flush surface. But all right, so these things are important that you have them turned the right way. At the moment, I'm forgetting which direction it is, so you may find me having to redo this. So we'll see how it goes. Now, you don't want to do this on a hard surface, so I always lift the motherboard up off of that hard surface, and then we try and click these in. Sure, hear a snap, another snap, and hopefully a fourth snap. Barely heard that one. Now, we'll take a look at it on the other side. They have all popped through. That's exactly what you want to see, all right? So, now, 4-pin CPU connector right here. This can go in only one way. So make sure you come down 90 degrees. And voila. Alright. Let you see what that looks like. Now we could have rotated this again probably and taken up some of the slack. I'll use a cable tie later, most likely. Or I'll disassemble this and put it in the box. But yeah, you guys will want to do something with that cable. Gonna use one stick of RAM. Sometimes, you know, RAM slots can go bad. You can get a perfectly brand new motherboard that the RAM slots are bad. RAM can go in only one way. One of these is shorter than the other. Same with the motherboard. Now, if I had a second RAM for later on, or second stick, I would put it in this light gray. So A2 and B2 get your first pair to ensure that you get dual channel. All right. So we're good so far. Now, CPU power connector. This can go in only one way. It actually says CPU on it, right? So we're going to drop that in. Boom. 24 pin power. My whole goal is to just get this thing to boot to BIOS and call it a day. On that screen I should see that the BIOS actually updated to F2F, I think is the current latest BIOS. If I can get this in here. It's hard to do stuff when the camera is in blocking you. Okay, so just so you can see that it's not snapped in yet. And boom, now it's in. Alright. So now if you had just a i3-12100 in here, we could hook up HDMI or DisplayPort to the motherboard. But this is the i3-12100f, so I need a graphics card. And luckily I have like 40 of them, so I'm basically going to take this one. Doesn't require PCIe power. Drop that in. And got to hang it over the edge. Now I need to find an HDMI cable. Alright, so we got HDMI. And I will, off camera, plug this into the monitor. Alright, so you need to make sure the power supply is in that position and that it is plugged into the wall. Now, the only problem we might have is how do we turn this thing on? We could use a flathead where we touch on this second row. Let's see if you guys can, let's try and get you a better angle. And of course the graphics card might cause this not to focus. On the second row, third and fourth pins, or we can use this guy, and that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I'm going to plug that in. You would just use this to hit those pins together. I'm going to use this button and powering on. Now, so we've got power here. What do we have on our monitor? Nothing yet, folks. That's a bad sign. Oh, there it is. Bam. Alright, so if you watch the BIOS update video, you see F2F, that's the BIOS. You see the CPU there, i3-12100f. You see one stick of RAM, and everything looks good. And so at this point, folks, you at home, you could turn this thing off just by, flipping that switch off, and go ahead and put your M.2 drive in, put the rest of your RAM in, and get yourself a gaming computer, right? Or whatever you're going to use this for. Thanks for checking out the video. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.